He's an Oscar-winning filmmaker from Los Angeles who has left Hollywood behind for a new life here in Israel. Known for documentaries like the Academy Award-winning The Long Way Home and many others. Please welcome Richard Trink to the studio. Baruch haba.
Thank you, Emily.
It's so good to see you here on this side of the world. First of all, I mean, with such a flourishing career, you know, nearly 20 films, I know it wasn't just some spontaneous decision to move here. It was a long time coming. Why?
Well, it's something that I had been thinking about really very intensely the last 10 years. And part of it was when I was doing one of my more recent films, Never Stop Dreaming, which was about the life of Shimon Peres. Spent the last year of Shimon Peres' life with him making this movie. And he's somebody who had appeared in other projects of mine. And towards the end of the principal interviews that we did, one day he asked me, we were talking a lot about Israel, and he just said, "Why haven't you made Aliyah?" And I didn't have a good answer for that, but it was something that I really, really thought about. And finally, all the stars aligned.
Yeah.
And we could do it.
And now here you are. I mean, still early in, and we know that this country is so happy to have you. It's made a lot of news given, you know, you've had such a tremendous career, obviously winning the Oscar for The Long Way Home, which many people have seen. Your film's still streaming, including the Shimon Peres one. But now you've set up a new production company here, so you're also busy working. Tell us about the projects that are in development. I guess start with the one related to October 7th.
Well, the one it's a post-10/7 film that's called The Road Home. And like the Long Way Home, which looked at how the survivors of the Shoah rebuilt their lives after the Holocaust, you know, how do you start over after you've lived through the unimaginable? And so this intrigues me, and seeing how Israelis directly affected by 10/7 are coming back to life and not allowing that to define them forever. That's what this film is about.
Wow. So a labor of love to be here. I know you just got back from doing, you know, more filming in France as well as Germany. You also are putting the final touches on a very interesting story about a soldier from World War II that was in D-Day, taken, killed, and buried in a Nazi cemetery. And he's since been reburied in, you know, of course, the famous American cemetery in France. Tell us why that is so compelling to be a part of.
The story caught my attention because it was the idea of this young man. He was in his late 20s, child of immigrants, drafted just after the attack on Pearl Harbor, ends up storming the beaches of Normandy. He's mortally wounded and captured by the Nazis, dies in their custody, and gets buried in a mass grave with Nazis when so much of his family was killed during the Shoah. And it took 80 years to finally identify his remains and properly bury him in Normandy. And it's really bringing his life to the screen so people could find out about him and why the story's so important, because he was part of a battle that really was one of the definitive battles of World War II between the invasion of Normandy and the Battle of the Bulge.
Really such an incredible story, and the fact that they were able to give him a proper burial, you know, with others that, you know, took part exactly like you said in that historic moment. Also, you have some other films you're going to be working on, another interesting one called Toto and Coco, about Coco Chanel. Who knew? I didn't know she was a Nazi sympathizer.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is a story about the relationship between these two women, Coco Chanel and Toto Koopman. Toto Koopman was a half black, half Dutch, high fashion model. She was one of Coco Chanel's favorite models in the late 30s. And when the Nazis marched in to France and Coco began to cavort with the Nazis, Toto became a spy for the British and worked with the French resistance and the Italian resistance. And it's really the story of the choices that people make. Sadly, you know, today, Coco Chanel is this fashion icon, and nobody really knows that she was a Nazi sympathizer, and very few people know about what Toto did.
Wow. I mean, right under her nose.
Right.
Which is a big risk. I mean, your whole career is relying on Coco Chanel, and to be able to take that kind of chance is very, very heroic. So one more question before we go I wanted to ask. given that you had a several-decade-long relationship with Shimon Peres, what would he have to say if he were still alive, knowing that you made the jump and that you're here?
I would think he'd be very happy because he wanted people coming here. And towards the end of our interviews, when he asked me about why haven't I made Aliyah, when I finally made Aliyah, when I arrived here 2 months ago, one of my first thoughts was, what would he think looking down?
Shimmy.
So I feel very fortunate that I've been able to do this. And I wake up every morning very happy and very honored to be here.
And just to show that there's a strong filmmaking capabilities here, you do not need to live in Tinseltown to
No, you know
do
what?
it.
There's great stories here. And really much of my work pivoted to here. So now I'm not on the sidelines anymore. I'm here.
Amazing. Richard Trank, thank you so much for coming in and for joining us here on this journey in Israel.
Thanks, Emily.